Hi, this is Trev and welcome to my blog. I hope you're all doing well, guys. I thought I'd just upload this quick video because I wanted to say a few things about what's going on in the world right now. I tried to do this a few days ago and include some footage of the speedo on the van. Unfortunately, there were a few misunderstandings about that video. On the whole, I think people got where I was coming from, but there were a few misunderstandings and there was a few arguments sort of sparked off in the comments section. So I'm not all about this, guys. I'm certainly not about that kind of thing, and unfortunately I think the problem is when you make videos on YouTube and you get used to making videos, you realise that there's a balance between being brief and giving away too much information. You give too much information, people start losing interest because it's not particularly dynamic, and if you're too brief, then you have to make assumptions that people understand what you're talking about, and it could assume the wrong thing, and I think that's what's happened here in a few instances. So I just deleted the video. Easiest way, just delete the video and do it again, because I don't want people getting wires crossed and thinking that I mean something completely the opposite to, you know, what I believe myself. So I thought I'd just put the record straight on a few points. The first point being the van. I've certainly no intention of pulling the plug on the van and getting rid of it or anything silly like that. I talked about the disappointment with the van, and it is very disappointing. I'll just go over briefly what's happened, briefly, but try and get the point across this time. Yeah, so our first event was going to be on Christmas Day, and it was rained off. I mean, the rain was so heavy we couldn't get into where we needed to be. There was a council car park nearby, but the council wouldn't let us trade from that because of not having the correct street traders license. Well, not having a street traders license for that, you've got to apply for it each day. Another story, go into that some other time, on the baking bird perhaps. Because of the situation with it being Christmas Day and the van there's a lot that was unfinished on the van, like the seat covers hadn't been fitted and things like that, but it's perfectly drivable. But what I needed to do was to get the van MOT'd, taxed, insured, so it's got business insurance. Obviously it's been modified engine wise and it's been modified for catering, so it's got to be insured for all that. Then you've got £5 million worth of public liability insurance. Then you've got the PAT tests on all the electrical stuff, the LPG, a mobile certificate, and the boiler pressure test for the coffee machine. We also had to get food standard certificates, both myself and my wife had to get that. Also food hygiene inspection by the council that had to come round. All this had to be done before Christmas, which we managed to do. Then of course we couldn't do Christmas Day. We've had a possibility of around about 5 or 6 paid events since then. Unfortunately we haven't been able to do any of those because it hasn't stopped raining. So every single time we wanted to do something, it's been rained off since. We had a paid event on the 15th of March last week, because it's the 21st of March today, and they pulled the plug right at the last minute, and a good job they did as well. It was hugely disappointing, but we understood because of what's going on right now, and it's a very serious situation that is going on. I believe it is anyway. And yeah, we did do one event where we had the neighbours around, so I hired out the church car park and we got all the neighbours round because I've made a hell of a racket over the last few years. Here's my way of apologising, although they're such lovely people, they put up with me a bit, you know, and I gave them all as many coffees and cakes as they wanted, and it was a really nice day. It was really nice, and I've got some footage as well, and I'll upload that soon so that you can see that. Maybe have to be part 20 of the van, I don't know. We'll have to see how things play out, because we obviously don't know what the upcoming situation's going to be. So anyway, just to put your minds at rest, I'm definitely not selling the van. A few people have kind of thought that I've given up on the business and that I won't be doing the van anymore. Nothing could be further from the truth as far as I'm concerned now. So the van's staying with me, there's no changes there. We cannot run the business we cannot run the business for the sole reason of what's going on right now with this virus pandemic, and we don't mind, you know. We'd rather everybody be safe. It's very, like I say, it's been hugely disappointing, and why wouldn't it be? But we get why, and we've been greatly affected in many other areas of our life, like everyone else will have been or is going to be. I mean, I've got elderly parents. My father's got COPD. My mother's just come off a second batch of antibiotics for a horrific chest infection, and she's got other things wrong with her besides. So that's very worrying. My wife works in an elderly care home, and she's worked there for around 18 years. She's known some of those residents for at least 15 years, and they're almost kind of members of the family to her. So of course she's extremely worried and anxious about things. My son's in the hospitality industry. The hotel he works at has got absolutely no guests whatsoever. So there's certainly lots and lots of uncertainty with everything that we're doing. At the moment, I'm working still in the restoration place a couple of days a week. Provided the work keeps coming through, then I'll keep going there. And whatever happens, I'm going to keep doing videos for you guys. It doesn't matter. Providing I can do it, I'll do it, and I'll do as many as I can, and I may be able to do a few more videos than I have been able to, because I was so busy with the van. Now the van's practically finished. I mean, it'll never be 100% finished, because I'm always going to be tinkering with something, but I hope to be able to do lots more sort of things that I've been thinking about, because I've got tons of ideas I've got no shortage of video ideas, you'll be pleased to hear. And I will be uploading more stuff to do with metalworking and welding. I want to finish this TIG welding thing, and I want to show you more about MIG welding as well, and that'll be coming up shortly, and also the little handheld plasma cutter. And hope to get the plasma table up and running, get Rob down here and get that sorted out. So there's many more great things to come. Anyway, yesterday I was quite concerned about an elderly neighbour. There's a guy that lives opposite, and my wife and myself were talking. I wonder if he's got anybody to look out for him. So we popped our number through his door, said, "Cyril, please give us a ring, you know, if you need anything." And within moments he phoned us up and he said, you know, I need stuff. I desperately need stuff. I need porridge oats, I need toilet paper, can't get toilet paper, I ran out of poor guy ran out of toilet paper, of course can't buy any from anywhere. Well, as it happens, we know of a shop not too far from us, and they sell a lot of organic produce and things like that, and we do buy a few bits and pieces from them each week, and we thought, well, they'd be worth a try, because in the majority people aren't going there. And hey, guess what, they had toilet paper, so we managed to get him some toilet paper anyway, and obviously the other bits and bobs he needed, and it was really great. So I just sort of like to urge anybody that's assuming that, you know, your neighbours are being looked after. They may not be. Please check in on them, and you know, see if they're all right. One of the other things that I was a little bit confused about, but the pennies kind of just dropped about some of the things I said in the last video, and it was a lot to do with being a bit frustrated with the media, and it's a situation, you see, with a neighbour plays in quite well with what I meant by that. Now, the way I look at the way that the media work is they got this little trick where they whip up hysteria, because bad news sells, and they know this. And if they can make, you know, if they can make a drama out of a crisis, they will. And this is the bit that I don't like about the media. And they use this little trick where they sort of say, you know, there's a red boat. Don't think about that. There's this red boat. Don't think about it. The red boat. Don't think about it. So what you're thinking about? You're thinking about the red boat. So what they then do is they put, you know, on the news they put images of people squabbling over food, and the shelves all empty, and you're not going to get any food. Of course, what that feeds into is people panic buying, racing down to the supermarket and clearing the shelves of anything they can get their hands on. And that is where the point. That was the very point I was trying to make. I was making no point or reference about the legitimacy of whether or not this virus is a hoax or not. Of course it's not a hoax. It's definitely not a hoax. You've only got to look at the poor Italians and the Spanish and the Iranians, and you know, this is serious stuff, folks, and I believe it really is serious. And there are a lot of kind of people that are peddling this idea that it's not as aggressive as, say, the standard flu, but I don't think that's the main concern. I think the main concern is the fact that this virus can mutate, and it is mutating quickly, and they won't be able to get a hold of it. I think the main worry is that it will mutate and reinfect people that have had it before, and they won't be able to stamp it out. I mean, they can't get rid of the flu completely, but what they can do is they can contain it and keep it down to levels where it's controllable. I think the worry is that this virus will you know, keep mutating, and they won't be able to get a handle on it. And I do take it seriously. I take it very seriously. A guy I know called Andrew Thomas, who helped me out enormously with that, I've mentioned him many times in my videos. He said a good barometer of this is football. Although neither of us watch football, he said there are people that have died on the pitch playing football, and the game is carried on. Now all of a sudden all the football's completely cancelled. And in a funny kind of way, I get what he's saying, and the way I look at it, I look at the economy. I look at the fact that the government would do nothing to upset the economy or try and slow down things in any way, and yet they're just telling everybody to shut up shop and stay in their houses. So I do take this extremely seriously. It's definitely not a hoax. There's no way that this is a hoax, and I wouldn't want to make anybody think that it is that at all. And I just sort of like to get that point across, because I think people are a bit confused when I said about media hysteria. What I meant by the media hysteria was to do with the shopping, you know, no toilet paper, people going off buying probably enough food to last them 2 years. Well, there's some poor pensioner that can't just buy, you know, his cornflakes to have in the morning or whatever. So that was the point I was trying to make there. Have I covered everything? I think I probably have. I don't want to go on too much because, you know, I just want to get my points across, and I just want to say that if anyone's not feeling great about things, I'm always here for a chat. You can always email me. I'll do my best to get back to you. I've got a few emails I need to address right now, actually, about different things. And yeah, keep your chins up. I intend to. Like I say, I'm going to play my energies into making more content and helping my local community where I can. People worried about the whole shopping situation. I have heard now that supermarkets are going to try and do this thing where they're open for an hour a day and they're only going to let health workers in or the elderly. I think there's a bit of a thing going on at the moment where they don't want the two going in together because of the cross-contamination issue. But that, it sounds like a positive move, and I just wish the media could have got behind this right from the start rather than trying to whip up hysteria. They could have, you know, they could have been responsible, and they could have just sort of said, these are the facts. What we're going to do, we're going to give you the information that's going to help you the most, rather than try and do the whole, you know, it's snowing in the winter, because this is what happens in the UK. It snows. The media instantly say it's going to be the hardest winter in 40 years and you won't be able to get any food. Of course, straight away everybody races down the shops, buys every loaf of bread and bottle of milk off the shelves, and then a day later the sun comes out, it all thaws out, and it was a storm in a teacup. And I'd love this virus thing to be a storm in a teacup, but I think it's a little bit more serious than that, but I would love it to be. But there we go. Anyway, I hope I've brought you up to speed, and I hope I've put a few I've put a few wrongs right, and sort of got across my point. And I hope you're all going to stay safe and well, and look after yourselves, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and importantly, if you are healthy and young, please look after our elderly, you know, and don't just assume that someone else is looking out for them, because you just don't know. It brought it home to me yesterday. I'm so glad I went round to see him. So thanks very much for watching. I'll have a video uploaded shortly of something else, I'm sure. Bye for now.